Shedeur Sanders isn't just playing football. He's challenging the NFL's entire system. $250 million later, the league has two choices: adapt or be exposed.
I tried to tell y'all. I tried to tell y'all. Y'all did not want to listen. Y'all said, no, Travis Hunter, he's going to have it. No, Ward is going to have it. And I said, Shedeur is going to outsell everybody in jerseys. Even with people saying they not going to buy from the NFL. He's still surpassing. Hey, I tried to let y'all know because I could foresee this happening. I could foresee. And then somebody tried to say, well, jersey sales don't put you in the Hall of Fame. Goddamn, dum-dum. Goddamn, Mr. Bright Guy. You the smartest guy in the room. You the smartest guy in the room. But this is an accomplishment in itself. You ain't never seen a fifth rounder sell out jerseys like that. I'm talking about everywhere. They can hate, they can make you wait, but they can't stop the fate. You get what I'm saying? Woo, I was cooking with that one right there. You can wait, they can make you wait, they can hate, but they can't stop the fate. I feel like I just ready to preach a sermon in this mother. For real, I tried to tell y'all.
Don't skip a single second of this video. And if this story touches your heart, give it a like, subscribe to the channel, and let us know in the comments. Where are you watching from? Let's begin. I don't think people realize just how insane this is. We're talking about a fifth-round pick, the 144th overall selection, shaking the entire foundation of the NFL before even taking a regular season snap. $250 million in jersey sales. Let that number sink in. That's not hype, that's not speculation, that's reality. And for the first time in decades, NFL executives are staring at a future they can't control. You've never seen anything like this. I've never seen anything like this. A rookie quarterback, not a #1 overall pick, not a Heisman winner going first off the board, but a guy they tried to humble, tried to bury deep in the draft, just turned the business side of football upside down. And it wasn't just a payday. It wasn't just Nike cutting a check. This was a statement, a shockwave that says the old rules don't apply anymore. Think about it. Jersey sales have always been a metric of popularity, but never power. Peyton Manning didn't do this as a rookie. Tom Brady didn't do this. Patrick Mahomes didn't touch this level until years into his career. Shedeur Sanders just bypassed all of that. He's already eclipsed legends in financial momentum before he's even stepped onto the field in a Browns uniform for a regular season game. And that's why the league is rattled. Because this isn't just about a kid moving product. This is about leverage. This is about a rookie quarterback showing the NFL that he doesn't need to wait 3 years, 5 years, or even one full season to dictate terms. He's dictating them right now. And the NFL, for all its power, for all its control, has two choices: adapt or get exposed. That's what has executives in panic mode. That's why veterans are side-eyeing. That's why media members are scrambling to spin narratives. Let's be real. The NFL is built on structure, on hierarchy, on a system that says you earn your way up. You start at the bottom, you take what you're given, and maybe, just maybe, you get rewarded later. But Shedeur just flipped that script. He didn't wait. He didn't beg for validation. He took it. Nike doubled down. Fans rallied behind him, and the numbers backed it up in a way no one could deny. And suddenly the machine looks fragile. Suddenly the old guard looks outdated. And that's why this is bigger than Shedeur Sanders. This is about the NFL's entire business model being tested. What happens when more rookies demand prime equity clauses? What happens when every talented college quarterback looks at Shedeur and says, if he did it, why can't I? What happens when the balance of power shifts from billion-dollar franchises to 21-year-old athletes who understand their worth before they ever touch the field? This is why I'm calling it a shockwave. Because it's not just a headline, it's a tremor that shakes the foundation of how the league operates. You can already feel it in the reactions, the panic, the disbelief, the desperate attempts to remind everyone that it's just jerseys. But deep down, they know it's not. They know it's proof that the next generation of players isn't waiting for permission. And here's the scary part for the establishment. This is only the beginning. If this is what Shedeur Sanders can do before his first real game, imagine what happens when he actually starts winning. Imagine what happens when highlight reels back up the sales numbers. That's the nightmare keeping NFL executives awake at night. Because once the performance matches the business impact, the entire system will never be the same again. Here's the part that drives me crazy. Shedeur Sanders wasn't supposed to be here. At least not in the NFL's eyes. They didn't see him as a top pick. They didn't value him as a franchise quarterback. They didn't even respect what he'd already proven on the field at Colorado. Instead, they pushed him all the way down to the 5th round. 144th overall. And don't let anyone tell you that was just about talent. No, that was about control. That was the NFL's way of saying, we'll humble you, we'll dictate your value, and you'll play by our rules. But here's the problem for the league. Shedeur never needed their validation. And that's what makes this entire situation so uncomfortable for front offices. Because usually a rookie in his spot buried behind veterans on the depth chart, fighting for reps in practice, they're quiet. They wait their turn. They blend in, not Shedeur. His name is louder than the roster spot they tried to stick him in. The Browns might list him as QB2 or QB3, but outside that building, he's already QB1 in the culture. Look at the depth chart battle right now. Joe Flacco's the steady vet, Dylan Gabriel's the rookie project, and Shedeur's supposed to be the developmental guy. But what did we see in preseason? Flacco looked like a guy past his peak. Gabriel threw picks and looked overwhelmed. Meanwhile, Shedeur put up a 106 passer rating, 2 touchdowns, no fear, no hesitation. The tape doesn't lie. He looked like the future. But politics always cloud the picture. Coaches lean on veterans. Executives lean on draft status. And the very same people who undersold him on draft day are still trying to keep him boxed in. It's the same disconnect we've seen before. The machine tells us one story. He's not ready. He's entitled. He's a backup. But the fans, the culture, the actual numbers tell a completely different one. Remember Jalen Hurts? Scouts doubted him, called him limited, said he'd never be more than a gadget QB. Now he's an MVP candidate every year. Remember Lamar Jackson? They told him to switch positions. They mocked his throwing motion. Now he's carrying a franchise on his back. This is the cycle. Every time a young, confident quarterback comes along and doesn't play by the NFL's script, the machine tries to humble them. And every time, the ones who push through end up rewriting history. What's happening with Shedeur is even louder though, because he doesn't just have his play, he has a movement. Outside the league offices, Nike's rolling out campaigns, fans are buying jerseys at record pace, culture is embracing him as something bigger than a rookie quarterback. Yet inside the league, whispers, doubt, eye rolls, they keep saying let's see if he can handle it. Let's see if he can survive the grind. But that's the hypocrisy, isn't it? They're not questioning his arm. They're not questioning his football IQ. They're questioning whether he'll stay in line. And that's where the disconnect lives, between a player who's already proving himself on the field, and a system that refuses to admit it. And here's the truth, this clash isn't going away. The machine can't control the noise anymore. The Browns might try to slow roll him. The NFL might try to humble him. But outside, he's already broken through. And that's the tension building every single week. The player versus the machine. The hype versus the politics. And it's only going to get uglier before it gets clear. And this is where the hate machine kicks in. Because the higher Shedeur rises, the louder the critics get. It's almost like they're waiting in the shadows, ready to pounce on the smallest misstep. And let's not act like we haven't seen this before. Every confident black quarterback in NFL history has faced the same double standard. Lamar Jackson was told he should switch positions. Cam Newton was mocked for smiling too much, for dabbing, for celebrating his success. Even back in the day, Warren Moon had to fight just to be seen as a legitimate passer. And now Shedeur Sanders is the next target. The media loves their labels. Entitled, arrogant, too focused on his brand. Those words don't come out by accident. They're not objective descriptions, they're weapons. They're designed to plant seeds of doubt in fans' minds, to make every highlight feel tainted, to shift the narrative from talent to personality. And when it comes to Shedeur, every mistake suddenly becomes a scandal. Take the speeding tickets. 91 in a 65, 101 in a 60. Yeah, it happened. But let's not kid ourselves. He's not the first Browns player to get caught driving too fast. Myles Garrett had his own incident. Other veterans have been cited too. And yet when it's Shedeur, the coverage is harsher. The headlines are louder. The criticism feels personal. Why? Because they're not just judging the action. They're judging the person. They're framing him as reckless, immature, undeserving of the spotlight. And here's the thing that burns me up. When a white quarterback acts out, it's called swagger, confidence, fire. But when Shedeur does it, it's arrogance, it's entitlement. The same behavior, two completely different narratives. That's the hypocrisy. And the NFL establishment knows exactly what it's doing, because perception is power. Control the narrative, and you control the player. But Shedeur hasn't played their game. He hasn't fired back in interviews. He hasn't given them the sound bites they're begging for. Instead, he's kept his head down, kept working, and let the numbers talk. Let the sales talk. Let his preseason performance talk. That quiet defiance, that's maturity, that's strength. And that's why the critics are so desperate to break him, because they can't get to him the old way. Still, you can feel the tension building. Every snap he takes, every practice rep, every minor headline gets magnified 10 times bigger than it should. And that pressure cooker environment is exactly what the establishment wants. They want the world watching for him to crack. Because if he does, if he stumbles, they'll point and say, see, we told you he wasn't ready. We told you he was more brand than ball. But here's the flip side. If he doesn't crack, if he keeps rising above the noise, then every cheap shot, every slander, every double standard backfires. It turns into fuel. It becomes part of the redemption arc that no critic can stop. And that's where we're headed. Because as much as they want to tear him down, Shedeur Sanders has shown he's not just surviving the backlash, he's turning it into proof of exactly why the league is afraid of him. This is the part that makes me believe Shedeur Sanders isn't just surviving the noise, he's flipping it into fuel. Because while the critics keep talking, Shedeur's been doing the smartest thing possible, staying quiet, keeping his head down and letting his play and his presence speak louder than any headline ever could. That's maturity. That's discipline. And for a rookie, especially one with this much attention on him, that's rare. Think about his preseason flashes. 2 touchdowns, pinpoint accuracy, poise in the pocket that you just don't expect from a 5th rounder. Every snap felt like a message, not to the fans, not to Nike, but to the league itself. I'm here, I belong, and you can't write me off. And that composure, that calm confidence, it's the exact opposite of the immature label the critics want to slap on him. He's proving them wrong every single time he steps on the field. And then there's the locker room. Don't underestimate that. This isn't just about sales or hype. Teammates are watching. Veterans are watching. And by all accounts, Shedeur's not coming in trying to big-time anybody. He's gifting receivers cleats, showing gratitude, earning respect the right way. That matters. Because for all the outside noise, what players say about you in that locker room defines whether you succeed long-term. And Shedeur is building that foundation the right way. But what really blows me away is how Nike is doubling down like they've never done for a rookie quarterback before. We're not talking about a couple of generic ads or one big photo shoot. We're talking about custom cleats, exclusive sneakers, full-blown apparel lines, and even whispers of a signature shoe already in the works. Do you know how unheard of that is? A rookie quarterback with his own sneaker line? That's Michael Jordan territory. That's LeBron territory. And Nike's saying, yeah, Shedeur belongs in that conversation. And the crazy part is, this isn't just about one brand cashing in. It's about rewriting the rookie blueprint. For decades, rookies were told, keep quiet, prove yourself, wait your turn, and maybe in a few years you'll earn the spotlight. Shedeur just shattered that model. He's showing this next wave of athletes that you can take ownership from day one. You don't have to wait until your second contract. You don't have to beg for validation. You can walk into the league as both a quarterback and a brand. And if you play it right, those two things don't compete, they fuel each other. And that's the hope here. That's the inspiration. Because what Shedeur is doing isn't just personal, it's generational. He's not just proving himself, he's paving the way. He's showing future rookies that they can demand respect, demand equity, and still thrive on the field. He's living proof that brand building and ball don't have to be enemies. They can be allies. And when those two worlds collide, it creates something the NFL has never truly seen before. A player who controls his destiny from the start. That's the breakthrough. That's the potential. And the scariest part for the establishment. He's only getting started. So here we are. The moment where this stops being just about Shedeur Sanders and starts being about something so much bigger. Because let's be honest, this isn't just a kid selling jerseys. This isn't just Nike cashing checks. And it sure as hell isn't just another rookie story. No. This is the beginning of a revolution. Ask yourself, what happens if this works? What happens if Shedeur proves that a 5th-round pick can not only lead a team on Sundays, but also rewrite how rookies are valued off the field? What happens when the next quarterback prospect walks into draft meetings and says, I want equity too? What happens when agents start pointing to Shedeur's deal as the blueprint? You know what happens. The old way dies. The NFL's grip on rookies, on contracts, on the very idea of waiting your turn, gets shattered. And that's exactly what the league fears. Because for decades, power has flowed one way, from the top down. Owners, executives, front offices, they set the rules, they set the value, and players just fell in line. But Shedeur's showing us that the next generation isn't here to fall in line. They're here to flip the table. And if this works, if this movement grows, we're going to look back at this season and say, this was the turning point. You can already feel it in the culture. Fans aren't just buying jerseys, they're buying into an idea. The idea that athletes can control their own futures. That they don't have to play small, don't have to beg for validation, don't have to accept being undervalued.
Shedeur Sanders is proving that you can walk into the league and demand to be treated as a partner, not just a pawn. And that's bigger than football. That's empowerment. That's history. Now don't get it twisted. The pressure is massive. Because if he fails, if he crumbles under the spotlight, the establishment will use his story as a warning. They'll say, see, this is why rookies shouldn't ask for power. This is why the system works the way it does. But if he succeeds, if he wins games, stacks stats, and keeps proving the doubters wrong, then every young athlete coming up behind him will believe they can do it too. And at that point, there's no putting the genie back in the bottle. That's why I keep saying, this isn't just about one player. It's about a movement that's reshaping the business of sports in real time. Shedeur Sanders is more than a quarterback. He's more than a rookie. He's a blueprint for what the future of athlete empowerment looks like. And whether the NFL likes it or not, that future has already begun. So don't blink, don't tune out, because we are watching history unfold right in front of us. Every snap, every touchdown, every headline isn't just about Shedeur. It's about the future of the game we love. And one day when the NFL looks completely different than it does right now, we'll remember this moment. We'll remember the kid they tried to bury in the 5th round, who refused to play by their rules, and ended up changing the game forever.